Okay, more on the Trinity. I'm going to rattle off a bunch. Please explain the Trinity.
Yeah.
How can Jesus be seated at the right hand of God if they are one? Okay. Where is God?
The Trinity is often thought of as this impossible to explain idea. And of course, there are things that are mysterious about the Trinity, about the nature of God. If we completely understood God, that wouldn't be a very big God. However, what the claim often is that there's something contradictory. Just as I said that if you have contradictions between two different religions, they can't both be right. People will say that, by the way, let me explain a contradiction. This is what is often given. If something's a contradiction, it can't be true. So the idea that someone is a married bachelor, such a person does not exist. Not even in Miami, Florida. All right? And the reason is because if someone is married, by definitionally, they're not a bachelor, right? If someone is a bachelor, definitionally, they're not married. And so I don't know that there's no married bachelors because I went all over the universe and checked and I didn't find any. It's the idea is self-contradictory. Some people will say that the Trinity is like that because we're saying it's the three gods and one God. That is not the Christian claim. If the Christian claim was that there are three gods who exist as one God, that would be a contradiction. That's right. If we said three persons who exist as one person, that would be a contradiction. That's right. That's not what Christianity teaches. Christianity says there are three persons who exist as one God. Now, to give you a great example of that has stood the test of time in the history of the Christian faith, is a triangle. The triangle has three distinct points, and they are different points. Each point is not the same as the other point, but they are all a part of one triangle. All right? And in the Trinity, we have three persons who exist as one God. And I think this is something that church people often miss because it means when Jesus was praying to the Father, He wasn't praying to Himself. He was praying to another person of the Trinity, but they share the essence, God. As for where God is, God the Father is outside of the space-time universe that we inhabit now. This is the creation. Everything in the physical universe is the creation that God made. God is not within the creation the Father is not within the creation geographically in that sense. In another sense, He's omnipresent because He's aware and active everywhere in the creation that He made. As far as Jesus standing at the right hand of the Father, you want to get in on this? How is it that Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father?
It's a Trinity, right?
Yeah, okay, so that's actually an expression. If you think about heaven, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and of course the heavenly sphere can reference multiple things, but the point is, heaven too is actually created by God. Where Jesus is sitting on His throne is a place that heaven didn't coexist with God. God had to make that space as well. Right? Does that make sense? Because if heaven existed with God, then heaven would also be part of God, and it's not. Heaven is just a place. Now, because we have three persons, the Son, who is God the Son, can sit at the right hand of God the Father. But that is more an expression because God Himself is spirit, right? And we worship Him in spirit and truth. But what they're trying to communicate then this is that Jesus is in a place of preeminence. And that's what the expression seated at the right hand of the Father is really trying to point out. So don't think of God in Da Vinci's painting where He's this old guy with a beard and then Jesus is the white hippie guy with the blue eyes that we see in some of these churches in the South. Because that's not what's going on here. What they're trying to communicate is that Jesus is at the place of preeminence next to the Father.
Very good.